I was worried I'd never talk again or do much of anything again. I'm learning all kinds of things since then about how to be gentle with myself, but also understanding creativity shows up when being gentle with oneself is the way of being.
Welcome to Created Creative. I'm Dawn.
And I'm Ruth.
How was your week? It's Holy Week.
A blessed Holy Week to you and yours. Do you have big plans for Easter?
I realized I don't have enough to do, and so I imported one of our very favorite people, and my mom flew here on one day.
Oh, yay.
So even just having another human around, regardless of what we end up doing, we don't have specific plans through this week because we just decided.
Oh, yay. That'll be nice to have that time. I was laughing because I was remembering last year that you were laughing at me because my family always goes out to eat, my extended family. We were going to the casino last year.
Are you doing that again?
No, because now the casino's far away from my church, but we're going to, there's a really nice supper club that's close to the church now. It's on the lake, so we're going to go there.
We'll do church at my church, and then we always have an Easter egg hunt in Central Park.
Oh, fun.
So Easter at the supper club, my Easter at Central Park.
Yes. And it was so great to talk to Paul because I was just really wanting to catch up with him because even though we had him on our podcast in the past, a lot has happened for him since we talked to him before.
Yeah, we haven't had a lot of repeat guests.
I feel like the things he's experienced in his life since we talked to him last have really started birthing some new creative thoughts. I'm excited that our people will hear about it.
Yes, a very helpful way to view the world.
Enjoy this episode with Paul Lutter. Paul, we're so glad that you could come back and spend some time with us. So our longtime listeners, they've met you before, but new listeners maybe aren't so familiar. So could you take a few moments to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Paul Lutter. I'm an ELCA pastor serving an interim in Northeast Minnesota, but I live in the Twin Cities with my 10-year-old daughter and wife. I'm serving an interim pastorate. I'm also a writer and have an MFA in creative writing from Hamline University in a program that actually may be getting the axe.
Yeah.
I hope they don't, but it has been formative for me.
Paul, one of the reasons that wanted to invite you back is you and I have been talking about creativity and healing, and you've been on quite a journey since we last talked to you. And would you be comfortable sharing with our listeners about your journey?
Sure. And I should say I'm glad to be back. You all are pretty great. Anyway, in December, I woke up and I wasn't breathing. I laid back down, hoping whatever it was would go away. I woke up 2 hours later and I wasn't breathing. And so I went downstairs and I said to my wife, does my speech sound slurred? And it was very slurred. And the left side of my face was drooping. Jenny said, let's go to the hospital. And I'm like, what? This is bad? I knew it was. But anyway, we went. And when you arrive, you say, I think I've had a stroke or I'm having a stroke.
Triage to the front.
That's exactly right. So they put me in the hospital. They took me in an ambulance, drove me around the corner and took me out of the ambulance. I was whisked away to do tests. Not only did I have a stroke, I had a minor heart attack.
Oh, jeez.
I'm in my mid-50s, and they were a little concerned about this. I was in intensive care for 3 days. In the room across from the nurse's desk, the nurses gather and staff gather at 2 a.m. and swap gossip about the patients. So I slept some, not much, but I gained all kinds of insight on the hospital staff.
Oh, my goodness.
Because of one of my previous conditions, I was born with excess water on the brain. I have a shunt. They couldn't do an MRI because there's metal in the shunt. If they did, they would kill me. I'd prefer to live. I brought this great big green machine and put it on my head to see what would happen. Just to see.
Yeah.
I said, that's not comfortable. Anyway, it was a crazy 3 days. I'll tell you quickly that there was a period of time on the first day that I couldn't talk. I was pretty sure that I was done for. I was worried I'd never talk again, write again, or do much of anything again.
That's so scary. Oh, my gosh.
You are talking to us.
Yes, I still occasionally have trouble finding a word here or there.
Okay.
I'm learning all kinds of things since then about how to be gentle with myself, but also understanding creativity shows up when being gentle with oneself is the way of being.
Yeah.
Naps are good. My doctor has said that I need a lot of rest. And so I thought, oh, great, I'm not going to have any time to be creative. But that has been just the opposite.
Yeah. How has it been for you? Were you able to take decent time off, or was it back to work?
For the month of December, a large portion of it had been a lot of rest, a lot of rehab, and taking care of myself. But the congregation absolutely wanted me back for Christmas Eve. So I didn't really get much. I had to be back the Sunday before Christmas Eve, and then 2 services on Christmas Eve. I think people deal with grief and shock in all sorts of ways. People were loving and caring, but they absolutely felt the need that I would be there in the pulpit and doing that sort of thing. I think there were still in the congregation who were holding their breath, but it went fine. Then I took a week and I was totally zonked out.
After that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you preach differently, or do you feel any lingering effects of how you think and how you write or in how you speak?
I think I'm more interested in character development,
Ah.
by which I mean characters in biblical stories and characters in the pews. How do those two communities engage with one another?
Yeah.
I think mainly because I'm interested in seeing we all carry a sense of brokenness. We do a lot to try to hide that, and yet we don't hide as well as we think we do. And so I want to be open so that there can be this exchange and this full engagement with the gospel.
How has your creativity shifted at this time of healing?
I've been listening a lot to a podcast between Krista Tippett and Mary Oliver. And Mary Oliver said, I think we're creative all day long. I was thinking about that. And I think that's become more true for me than it had. And so when I go grocery shopping or get gas, I'm engaging with people all day long. And where can my attention be opened to imagine what creativity can be at work? Does that make sense?
Yes. Can we have an example?
Yeah. So I've always talked to people I haven't known. If I'm in a place and they look at me, which happens a lot, I find myself just being like, okay, let's engage. There's a restaurant that I often go to in the town where I'm serving. There's this elderly person who I see often, and I've never talked with them. And she said, near when I began going back to the congregation after the stroke, you walk funny. And I'm like, well, that's great. I said, can I sit with you? She said, yes. And so from that, she told me how she was trying to hide something that was going on with her, but people are nosy. I said, nosy can be creative. It makes you ask all kinds of questions, right? And she's like, people just think they know. And so I'm thinking a lot about the intersection between fully human and being fully broken. The Japanese art of kintsugi, right?
Yeah.
The broke
Yep.
pot. And I'm like, that had really been powerful for me in the healing and creativity. What does it look like to live that out? Yes, but also in my daily creative practice and process. What does that look like?
Person sees everything differently after you've been through something physically. I think Paul and I, it's been quite a few months for both of us. One of the reasons creativity and healing is on both of our minds. My story is similar. I woke up one morning and realized my hands and feet were very tingly and numb. I just knew it wasn't normal. And then on my right arm, it was part of the arm as well. I was like, oh my gosh, I think I'm having a stroke. I lived just a couple blocks from here, and they did a full workup on me and they couldn't find anything wrong with me. They're like, you're not having a stroke, but go home and rest. They knew I had been getting over the flu. Then if it continues, that I had to go to Fargo because that's where they have neurology. And so, I went home and tried to rest and prayed that I would just wake up feeling better the next day. But then by the next morning, I couldn't even walk down the stairs. I had to scoot on my butt. Called my friend who has also been a guest on this show, Krista Wieger, she's a doctor. And I said, this is what's happening. And she said, Ruth, you need to go to the ER right now. I went and woke up my oldest son, and he drove drove me to Fargo. And of course, on the way, I'm finding my pulpit supply for Sunday, someone to cover for me for the funeral I had on Monday, because, of course, that's the most important thing. Not that I can't feel my appendages.
That's trifling.
Yeah,
Let's overproduction.
exactly. Yeah. I went to Fargo and they were great. Just did all the tests. Thank goodness it was a Friday, so there were still people there. It was Valentine's Day. They started treating me for Guillain-Barre, which is an illness that some people get after the flu or a virus that's attacking nerves.
Mhm.
And it was 5 days of intravenous medicine. And then they can tell it's starting to work when it stops getting worse. Like it had gotten as far as my ankles and my lower arms. If they hadn't started treating me, it would have kept spreading. Some people end up on ventilators because it can get into your lungs. I was lucky they started treating it when they did. I was on this intravenous medicine for 5 days. So you have a lot of time to think about life, just like you were saying, Paul, about what's going to happen. My favorite things were suddenly gone. I couldn't write, picturing all the worst case scenarios. I was calling every person I knew to give me positive things to think about and help me get my mind in a good place, because with physical things, I never realized before what a helpless feeling it is. Dealing with this, have you had much anxiety or has it been peaceful for you?
Before I answer that, let me say walking has been hard for me.
Yeah.
I love to walk. I've borrowed a cane of my sister's who had a hip surgery and loaned me a cane. So I walk with it every once in a while. But I find that when they saw me with a cane, they wanted to make sure that I got better as soon as possible. This is something going on here beyond my control.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and we let it do the teaching that needs to.
Wow.
Can my life be more than a series of, oh, that happened, then that happened, and then that happened? And rather, what is my body telling me? One of the things it's
Yeah.
telling me is in 15-hour days is not smart.
Not
At least not in my case. For others, yes to the anxiety. The anxiety for me has been a couple-fold. I told my wife today I still wake myself up in the middle of the night to make sure I'm breathing. I still do that. It's less a concern now than it was at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I still will occasionally wake myself up.
Yeah.
When I wake myself up, instead of being like, "Oh, such a worry word, I wonder, I'm up. What do I need to be attentive? What do I need to be aware of? Welcome it instead of pushing it aside."
Yeah.
I think you guys just did the Let Them by Mel Robbins.
Yeah.
Maybe illness is one of those things. We need to also let it
Yeah.
do the teaching us that it needs to do.
I think you are more contemplative than Arya. For me, the same thing though, where I wake up in the night and the first thing I do is, oh, can I feel my hands? Can I feel my feet?
Yeah.
Yeah, almost.
But I'm
Oh.
much more, okay, I'm done. I want to be back to my things. I love that you're trying to learn from it, but I am very
Trying
resistant.
is right.
Yeah.
I sound cool here, but it's not so at 3 a.m, right?
Some people do have chronic things, and we need to not be treating them. I hope it gets better, as though how they are now is not sufficient.
Right.
You can want to be better and embrace the person where they are and say, what are you learning?
Yeah, it's amazing to me how many people are like, so how long do you have to deal with this?
Yeah.
My doctors said the kind of stroke I had,
Mhm.
which dealing with the small blood vessels in the brain, that within a year I should find full. But that means too that I'm giving myself into things like walking a bit and resting,
Yeah.
spending time talking with friends.
All part of it.
Who are I'm not saying particular friends, just that's bringing healing too.
I've found I feel really frustrated when one day I'll feel really great and then the next day will be not so great. To just keep reminding myself that it's not this linear process, that there's going to be ups and downs. And I think that has taken the most to wrap my mind around, because I always think you get a cold, you get better. You get a broken arm, you get better. Yeah.
If only things were as linear as we want them to be. I agree with you. There are days where I'm like today, I'm doing pretty well. A couple days ago, I was exhausted and could barely keep my eyes open. I gave in to it. That was a Wednesday in Lent. I did the thing and laid down and was able to sleep. That was good.
Yes.
Have you read anything related to Sabbath? Kind of thinking about rest and the rhythm and the pattern of Sabbath?
That's a good way to be thinking of it. I've been thinking of it more, probably because we're in Lent. I've been thinking of it more as time in the wilderness.
Well, it's disorienting for sure, right?
Yeah, I like that image of Sabbath. There's seasons of my life, most of it that's been very productive, fruitful, task-oriented. This season needs to be different.
I'm giving myself a break from writing right now to just live into what is and paying attention to what creative things are happening as a result of giving it space. You've probably been writing though.
No, I haven't. It's been hard to write. Part of that was starting to have a lot of nerve pain, making it hard to think. But now they increased my medicine. The last couple days felt more like being creative again because I'm not just thinking about what are my nerves doing.
Get that.
When you call it Sabbath and you're describing it as a time of more naps and connecting with people, which is,
Yeah.
let's live that way always.
Well, this is the thing, right? I love the story in the Gospels where Jesus is sleeping in the boat, probably exhausted. The disciples cannot leave him alone. They wake him up. Jesus curses the storm because his nap has been interrupted. And that's Sabbath, right? I think that's tied to the creation accounts in Genesis, morning and evening. Then God rested. What can we learn from that? Or what is that teaching us? I would much rather be productive. Thank you very much. Another friend just published a book that she's been working on for years. And I think the book I'm working on is nope, nothing right now.
Yeah.
I
Do you
would-
feel competitive? Ooh, I should be doing that.
Yes, I'm really happy for her. We met at a Collegeville Institute workshop and she started working on the book then. I'm really excited she's doing that. At the same time, this is a season of learning, not a season of writing for me.
Yeah, we need to be about resting right now so that we'll be able to dive into the creative things again. It's all part of it.
Yeah, and that is the thing about creativity. Certainly writing, nothing is lost.
No.
So then instead of getting frustrated by it, getting curious about what it means or what it could mean or what it's showing.
So I would say you don't perceive yourself at war with the stroke.
I'm at war with people who think the stroke should mean that I'm over it because it's now been a couple months, right? I'm not even at war. It exhausts me, frankly, to wonder why is it not good enough to recalibrate or recreate? Why does everything have to be? Now, I'm saying this recognizing that I would have been somebody who would have been like, let's go. And now I'm like,
This was you pre-December. Yeah.
I gave up teaching 2 courses at a local university and other things that I would have loved to have done, but I just gave up a writing assignment. I gave up some speaking things. And at first I was like, oh, but now I'm like, it was a really good thing that I could do that. So I come back and refocus. In a way, the wilderness images of Lent make sense to me. Some of the temptation has been to not live into what is and wanting what is not right now.
Yeah.
They're opposite. The wilderness feels far away.
Yeah.
Or the Sabbath is the most close.
That's interesting.
Agreeing.
Yeah, I really appreciate Sabbath, but I also recognize that it comes when I have time. I mean, that is not something that would be nice if it would happen, but rather it really is pretty significant.
Not a luxury.
I've been doing better at realizing that there's certain things I need to give myself a break on. My son, the senior, wants a graduation party. I want that at our house, but there's so much to clean and get ready. I can hire someone to help. People you can pay to help get your yard ready. And then I don't have to stress about that too. And I've always been one who very much feels like I have to do everything myself and realizing that doesn't serve me, especially right now.
Now you're willing to admit it.
Yeah.
So like the medical event for you, Ruth, is going to make you get over American individualism and connect into your community on an additional level. It's not like you're not connected.
Yeah, very much. I've had to do that at church too. Last week I was having there was one day that was just really bad, and I lead a Bible study every Thursday, and I said, you know what? I'm not coming. Here's the study guide. You guys can talk amongst yourselves. They were totally fine. It's me that feels guilty for not being there and doing all the things. They're okay.
Yeah, I'd say that's true for me too. It would be easy to give in to everybody else's desire that I acted as if nothing happened, continue on the way things have always been. Instead, I'm saying, no, I think I'm going to be home today.
How much of it is inconvenient for them, or they're just not ready to acknowledge humans ebb and flow through life?
I don't know what it is. I think there's anxiety there. Our pastor's sick and we don't know what to do about it. There must be something we can do, but we
Yep.
think of that.
Yep.
I'm not the first pastor they've had who had issues when they served.
Yeah.
I've had to go around and say, I'm me. I'm not anybody else. This is how I'm choosing to show up and be as your pastor. I think they've heard that for the most part. Who knows exactly how to walk alongside another human being when
Yeah.
all hell broken loose?
Yeah.
We don't know what we're doing necessarily. I should speak for myself. I don't know what I'm doing in the midst of this stroke. What do I need? In order to know that, I need to be able to step aside and consider all the things, which takes a lot of time and energy. And I'm an extrovert, Ruth.
Yeah.
I think the benefits of introversion a little bit too in the midst of all of this, I think.
I feel like there's something about sickness that brings out the extrovert in me. I need the support of all my people. I call and text people more. I can't just let it percolate in here. I need to be processing it to an external processor through Guillain-Barre.
You're slowly processed ailments only.
Can I tell you one beautiful thing that's happened? When I was in the hospital, tell you a story and then I'll tell you what the result of that was. I had a speech pathologist come and she came the first day that I was in the hospital when I wasn't speaking well. She asked me to do things I couldn't do. And then she said, tell me, Paul, what is a bridge? Can you tell me what a bridge is? And so I thought metaphorically. And so I responded metaphorically and I used phrases like relational ontology. I didn't like that so much. She said, you're wrong. I said, no. She said, it's not on my sheet. I said, your sheet's wrong. We went back and forth. She was frustrated with me and I was frustrated with her. What that has meant is that the people in my life have been my speech pathology. When I was home in December, people would come to my door, visit with me for half an hour, 45 minutes, because that was as long as I could talk before I needed rest. And they were former parishioners who stepped up. And that was a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
No expectation coming to engage in conversation. It was lovely and also creative.
Yeah.
Because we talk about a whole host of things.
That really is beautiful. Yeah. The people that came to the hospital room and the people who called and people who stopped by, it really makes you think about what matters, that kind of support. My bishop came twice to my hospital room. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to contact my bishop and be like, where were you?
Yeah.
That's really
I was right there in Fargo and the Senate office is in Moorhead. So maybe it would have been different if I hadn't been there. But
Such an easy target.
yeah.
Margot Forehead is a powerful place. Things happen, right?
Yes. Paul, what do you feel like is your priority on your healing and creativity trajectory now?
I want to write something related to what happened with the speech pathologist.
Yeah.
About the obtuse way she understood bridges. She said, Paul, bridges are things people drive over. I said, not if you're in Minneapolis and not during the I-35W crash.
Yeah.
I do want to write something about that. I'm feeling energy to do that, but I'm also in this place where I want to draw the picture in a way that will invite people in.
I think about a lot of people on this podcast who've talked about healing and creativity going together. Maybe it's a book of essays and different people can contribute.
Oh, that's interesting.
And
Mhm.
every single one is 750 words.
I like that.
Because that was the website you were writing for.
Brevity.
Brevity, 750 word essays.
I like that. I like that a lot.
I'll be glad to contribute if you're looking for people.
Obviously, I am, Ruth, and you would be on the top of my list for sure.
Not
You're
the
not
list.
not on the same list as a speech pathologist. You're on a good list.
Oh, good. Is there anything, especially in this different season in your life, that you could use some ching on today?
I'm curious about, I'm going to invite people into the experience of this stroke in a way that does not get them to respond, well, you just need to just get better. I'm looking for a narrative.
You need almost a couple catchphrases depending on what they say, right?
Yeah. Because shut the hell up is not appropriate sometimes.
Plus one option, we'll keep it on the table till we get to the end. I've had things in my life too, where you're pushing them away and inviting them into it in a different way to reframe.
Them to find a different door.
What door are we going for so we can wordsmith it?
I want people to leave their anxiety at the door and to, I want them to enter in a way that allows them to be fully who they are apart from their anxiety, or maybe able to identify their anxiety, but understand this is not always helpful. Does that make sense?
Some of it is. they're asking you to carry their anxiety about it. They're hoping at you as
Cool.
Kate, what's her name?
Bowler.
Kate Bowler is always like, people would hope at me.
Yes.
She could not handle that she had cancer. And she's like, I want someone to just be with me and let it be this bad. Who is it? I need them to come visit. Yeah, I'm paraphrasing.
like
She said
that.
that very clearly. But just this hope at me.
Mhm.
So some of it is you're embracing this journey you didn't choose. You're not ready to carry their anxiety about it.
It's
That's
true.
the first draft. That's not elegant.
But the concept is there.
Yeah, it's
That's
something
what
about
you-
you're putting their story on top of yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
real.
It's something where if they'd like to accompany you, you'd be happy to share where you are today. But if they're just focused on when will you be better, that's not the conversation you're having right now.
Boy, I wish I could.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if I could give them, this is the date and this
Right.
is the time.
You'll be better in 6 months. It's never true.
No.
I actually am hoping my life here on out consists of many naps.
Wow. So you can say, I actually hate the way this started, but it's been a gift. And if you want to hear about that, I'd be happy to tell you.
Yeah, because it really has been a gift.
So help
Uh,
them have positive language.
This is exactly the thing, though. We're more keyed in on the negative thing about it, right? What's wrong with you and how can you make it better?
Yeah.
It's the American hero motif,
Right.
right? Leap tall buildings in a single bound.
Yeah.
So it's all different people and how much you really care about them. Like you're talking,
Right.
but it's you're being super normal, wanting me to be better as soon as possible. I'm actually staying in the present. I don't know the end game, but you're fine. Not being weird, being American. I'm doing a different thing. Contemplative at the stage I'm not just sitting and counting down to being better.
Another question I get a lot is, this isn't going to happen to you again. I've had to say, I can't say yes to that. It
So these
could.
are parishioners who are like, can you please assure me
Right.
we're going to have church every Sunday and that you're going to be there?
I'm interim.
What does it matter?
So, yeah.
It's about assuring them they're not going to be your friend. The people at the church who just want to make sure there's church next Sunday and you're going to be fine. That is like a pastoral care.
Not in the same way that the friends I see daily,
Right.
I'm in regular communication with.
And even someone at the town diner has a different agenda than
For sure. For sure.
like less agenda, honestly, a member of the church council.
That's exactly
The
right.
council needs to be assured you're doing what you can, but you're also living and learning from moment to moment.
We have an amazing counselor, and the president is fantastic and gets it, and also has said, you don't have to do these things.
Good.
I'm like,
Great.
that's right. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
This has
So-
been helpful. This has been
Sure.
helpful because I've not given myself room to think about this aspect of things. Like
Messaging.
what language do I want?
Mhm.
How much do I want to invite people in? How does the language differentiate between those I'm not, it's kind of a tertiary
Yeah.
relationship.
And the people you're serving at an interim church can be pleasant, but they're not who you're leaning on
Right.
for emotional support. You just need to, like, from a professional stance, assure them you're doing what you can and then be real to the extent that you're going to preach for real. That's not to have the whole story.
I almost fell out of the pulpit on Christmas Eve
Oh my gosh.
because my balance has been at issue
Oh no.
and kind of fell a little bit, and then I got my balance, hung on to the pulpit.
Oh,
Dear
geez.
Lord. But it's
That's a workplace accommodation where it's almost a legality deal with a temporary disability. Like giving
that's
you
exactly right.
another bar, a stool. I don't know what you need.
If I had a bar stool, I'd want as long as with something in it.
I don't know what
No,
you
no.
require. I get it. It's good.
Saying this has been really helpful. Thank you very much, Ruth. What about you? As you think about life in the midst of all of this,
I've been more of the, I want to get through this. The wilderness, my job is to get through this. It's been helpful hearing your perspective and viewing it more contemplatively because I can't rush the healing. It'll take as long as it takes. Trying so hard to live in this day that if this day, I might not be able to do all the things that I want to. But that doesn't mean it's not a beautiful day and a valuable day and a God-given day to live more gently into moments and trust that the day is going to come when I'm going to feel better again. It's just a process. I am so much better than I was, but
Yeah.
a far cry from normal Ruth.
whatever normal is.
You're both saying a life worth living in whatever state you're in.
Yeah. Ruth,
Yeah.
I have two things. There's a line in a Mary Oliver poem that goes, things take the time they take. Don't worry. How many roads did St. Augustine go down before he became St. Augustine? And then secondly, part of the joy of this kind of conversation is we bear it together, right? We've been close for quite a while, and I am so grateful for that. And this conversation is so wonderful. I'm excited to walk alongside with my cane.
We met during seminary a long time ago. Yeah.
The three of us did. Dawn, we met in seminary too, didn't we?
I'm aware of you in my world at all times. I don't remember specifically meeting you.
I'm ubiquitous. This is something I'm going to put in my CV.
I'm very much more future-oriented than past-oriented. Lots of things I release. I don't keep them filed in my brain.
I understand.
Paul, I'm just so thankful that you are with us and able to tell us this story today and to think about creativity and rest and healing, and all of that is just very near and dear to my heart right now. And so are you, and many blessings to you as you continue to heal.
I feel the same way about you and Dawn's little one, who I just have come to love. I'm very grateful to be with you all again, and you know that I'm a creative fanboy, and I'll continue to be for sure.
Please keep healing and take lots of naps. I promise I will too.
I was going to say back at you. That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us for Created Creative.
We're so glad for each one of our listeners, and we'd love to engage with you more.
Continue the conversation
With our Patreon. Everyone, check it out with our link. It is hard to search it on Patreon. There are 3 levels. The $5 level is a sticker. The $10 level will be gathering to be creative together. To the $20 level, I'll be doing creative coaching like you hear on many episodes.
We wanted this to be a benefit to our listeners to be part of the Patreon. And please follow us and leave a rating for us, and also a review wherever you listen to podcasts.
Go create something.
Go create something.